Hey there, welcome back. So in this video onwards, we'll start building a diagram flow application. So first, let's create an application, and first I wanted to cover a backend related code, that is an API. If any utils functions or else some templates have to be configured, we'll first focus on that, and in the next video we will focus on the UI part, so kind of rendering on the screen. Okay, so that it will be clear for us when we are trying to use the API in a front-end related code. Okay, so that is the plan. So let's get started. Okay, first let's create our application. So let's name this as diagram flow. Okay, so in TypeScript, yes, we're going to use TypeScript, yeah, ESLint as well, and Tailwind CSS, and source directory we would go with, I would say, let's go with that. Okay, and no, and let's keep at the rate. Okay, yeah, so let's wait for this project to be initialized. So it will install React DOM and Next TypeScript and its types and the Tailwind CSS related dependencies. Okay, as we already know and we saw in the previous projects as well. So let's wait till this project gets created. So it's almost done. I think yeah, so the project is created for us. So let's go to that location, that is diagram flow, and open this in our Visual. Fine. So this is the starter project. I don't want to touch the UI part first. First let me showcase you if the so if we go to this, let's go to so like we saw in the previous videos, yeah, this is the starter project. For now we will not touch any UI related part. We'll focus on configuring backend related code, that is an API, and whatever is needed for that API. Okay, so let's get back to our Visual Studio Code. So in this source directory, let me create a one folder called library, and in that first I wanted to configure the syntaxes which I explained you in the previous video. That is, we're going to take the syntaxes from a Mermaid documentation and take that as a template, when we are feeding it to the OpenAI thing. So let me first create a folder called library, and in that I'm going to create one more folder called syntax. So here first thing, so we'll have kind of hardly 6 to 7 templates. So let's first take the example as class.md. so this I'm going to take from the its documentation. So if you see, this is what I was talking about. So if you see class diagrams, so this is the example that we'll try to take it and keep it in that MD file. So here we have this. So let me go to class diagram dot md and go to this code section part. Okay, and let's take this. So I will try to take this completely. Okay, so let's go down and start taking till where I would say we will take completely till let's take to some point, like, wait, I will tell you. How about interactions? Okay, I think let's take till this. What do you say? Okay, okay, fine. So what I'll do, I'll take till this section. Okay, so I think this is more than enough for us. So you can take the whole one, but because of the token limitations, I'm just taking till here. From here, so let me take this and head back to our VS Code and use this here. Okay, so this is the template that we'll be using for generating class diagrams. Okay, so let's do the same for entity relationship as well. So let's create one more file called entity relationship.md. Okay, so this also will take it from there, and this, let's go back to that. So here we will take here let's say, so let's open the code mode. So this also will take till let's say, let me go down. So I'll take to this point. Okay, so let me take this completely. So yeah, so let's take this and do the same and copy it in our file. Okay, so after this let's go for the flowchart. So let's create a new file called flowchart.md, and this also will do the same. So this also will take to some extent. So let me go back to the code base and open this in the code mode, and here let me take till so okay, so what I'll do, I'll take this till this section. So let's do this. Yeah, so let's take this as well and head back to our file and use this. Okay, so this is for flowchart, and we'll do the thing for mind map as well. So mind map dot md. Okay, so mind map also we will do the same. So let's head back mind map dot md. So here also we will take to some extent. So let me scroll down and so we will take till to this section. So let's take this. Yep, so use the same. Yeah, so now next thing for sequence diagrams, so let's create a new file called sequence.md. okay, and for this also we will go to that respective md file and take the template example. Okay, so if you go here, sequence diagram, so code section, so I will take this also to some extent. So let me take an example of now till where I would take is let's scroll down. Okay, I think fine, till this point I will take it. So let's take this as an example template for the generating a sequence diagrams. So here and go back and use it. Okay, so this was for a sequence diagram. So let's do the same for state diagrams as well. So creating a new file and called state.md, and for this also we'll take an example template from the same place. So let's go back. So here if you see state diagram, and so we will take the same thing from this place. So here I would take till this section. So let me take this and use it in our example. Okay, so fine, so this is an example template for state diagrams, generating state diagrams. And the next thing that we would need an example for is generating a timelines. So let's create a new file called timeline dot md and do the same for this as well, like take an example template from there. Okay, so here if you see timeline and take thing, and here I would take an example till let's say, okay, so till here it suffices for us. So let's take till here. Fine, so this is an example for timeline diagrams. Okay, so yep, fine. So last thing that we are left is to create a new file called user journey and do the same for that as well. So user journey dot md. Okay, and this also we'll take example template from there and take it. Okay, so going back to user journey and taking this here, so we will take this old section. So this is small, so let's take this. Fine, so yep, so these are the sample templates that are needed in order to feed to our model. Okay, fine. So now the syntax is needed for various diagrams that we are dealing with: class diagrams, ER diagrams, flowchart, mind map, sequence diagrams, state diagrams, timeline, user journey. So if you want more, you can do the same by following the procedure I have done for this examples. Okay, fine. So the syntax is needed for us is created. So now let's create a one function to generate the Mermaid code for us and make use of that. So before even that, I would like to create one file which would kind of enums for types of diagrams that we're generating. So that I will create inside this library one new file called let's say this as prompt by template.ts. so whatever you can name, whatever you want, and here I will export enum. Let's name that as template enum. So here we will give the names for all of things, that is flowchart. So this is flowchart and mind map. So mind map, so just defining the constants names for that. Okay, timeline and timeline, user journey, user journey, and class entity relationship. And then sequence and state. Okay, yeah, so these are the enums that we would be needing. So now let's create one more file called generate.ts, and in that we'll handle the logic to generate the Mermaid code according to the template chosen by the user. Okay, so here just inside this I'm going to create one more file called, so let's make this as a lowercase, so generate.ts. so here we'll try to handle that. So const generate, and for this function let's make this as async function, and here this would receive two input params, which is the input and the selected template. Okay, so here let's use the try catch block and try to handle the logic to generate. Okay, so here first I would need the LangChain dependency, so I'm going to install that. So this is the library, so you just go to this LangChain.js and explore more if you wanted to. So for now I'm just going to install, and I'm going to make use of this. So let me go back there to the terminal and install this LangChain. And for this we'll have to have one environment variable, which is nothing but openai API key. So that I have noted down in my notes section, so I'm going to use this here. So let me create the env file, so dot env file, and so here let me go to the nodes section and take this. So you just get your own API key. Okay, fine. So heading back, I'm just going to use this. Fine. So yeah, so the LangChain is getting installed, so let's wait for that to install. You can just refer to the that LangChain documentation in order to look at the available functions exposed and how to use them and all. Okay, so accordingly whatever is needed you just figure out and use them. Okay, it's taking time. I don't know why. Is this because of my net issue? No. Okay, so I don't know why it's taking time. Let's wait. Fine, it is installed. So now let me first import the openai function, and here I'm going to pass in the temperature. So temperature, the value that I'll be giving is 0.9. okay, fine. So here this is where we'll define the template. So this function will receive two input params, which is nothing but input the whatever the user types in and the selected template. So what is the option that user has selected. Okay, fine. So this is these are the variables that this syntax and the instructions dynamic content we will pass in these variables. Okay, so just define this, learn from syntax above, and write template in Mermaid syntax about input. So that is the whatever the user has typed in our user interface. Okay, fine. So this is the template. Now we would create a new prompt template and pass in the template which we have just created, and we will say input variables for this or whatever we have given in curly brackets, that is the template. So that variables will be received replaced by the content we pass in. So the input and the syntax, and then finally the instructions. Okay, fine. So this has to be template. Okay, fine. So this is the prompt. Okay, now let's create a chain. So let's name this as chain, and create a new object that is LLM chain. Okay, and pass in the above model which we have created and the prompt. Okay, fine. So this is the thing, and here we will get the syntax doc. So here let's create one variable called a syntax doc, just to get the syntax we have created according to whatever the selected template is. So here wait, let's import the respective file. So this is, let's do it this way, syntax. Okay, and here we will pass in the selected template and convert this to the lowercase, and give the extension .md. So here whatever we receive the selected template value, accordingly we will import the respective syntax files which are created. So if the selected template is class, we are going to import class, and accordingly the other things as well. So finally we will try to get the result, so by calling the chain. Okay, so chain dot call, and this is where we are going to pass the input variable. So template is nothing but the selected template value, and input is the whatever the user has typed in, and the syntax which the file which we have just imported above. So that is nothing but syntax doc dot default. Okay, fine, and the instructions. Okay, so these are the instructions that will specify it to generate the accurate answer for us. So they will give kind of 3 to 4 instructions. So here first we'll say like use different shapes, colors, and also use icons when possible as mentioned in the doc. Okay, just trying to get the answer the way we wanted by providing some additional instructions. Okay, let's do it by providing the same strict rules. Okay, like we'll say like a kind of a do not add note and do not explain the code, and do not add any additional text except code. Okay, fine. So after this, one more instruction that we'll be giving is do not use end syntax, and finally one more what we'll give is do not use any parenthesis inside block. Okay, fine. So these are the instructions that we'll give, and finally we'll have the output in our response variable. Okay, so that is what we are going to return out of this function. So this is return response. Okay, fine. If not, we are going to catch if any errors occurred inside the catch section. So here we will just console for now the errors, log the errors. Okay, so let's name this as kind of debugging the openai thing. So and here we will pass in the if there is, yeah, we will just pass in this. So that is if there are any data in this. Okay, fine. And I'm going to, okay, so I'm just gonna mention its type so that we'll not see the error. Fine. So okay, again this let's name this, let's give type for this. For now I'll give any. So let's be clear, once we try to pass in from UI, at that time I'll change this. So this as well, selected template, I'll give any. Okay, fine. So the types and the so pretty much this is the function that we will be using to generate the Mermaid code required for us to showcase diagrams in the UI depending on whatever the user has entered and also the whatever the template he has chosen. Okay, fine. So I think the helper functions and syntax needed for to generate the Mermaid code is ready. So let's first create an API inside the pages API folder section. Okay, so here I will create one new file called something like, let's say, ask.ts. okay, so here we will make use of the thing generate which we have created and try to return the response from that as the output of this API. Okay, so let's quickly write export default as sync our handler function. Okay, so let's make this as function, not arrow function. So handler, okay, and this will pass in the two input parameters which is of type next API request and a response which is of type next API response. Okay, fine. So here first the body parameters for this API that we would be expecting is the input and the selected template. Okay, so let's destructure them. So that is temp input and the selected templates. By default let's make that as as a flow chart. Okay, fine. So and destructure this from the request.body. okay, fine. After this we will check here for conditions. Here if there is no input we will just return back saying that no input in the request. Okay, so return response dot status 400 and here the JSON message that would be returning back is no input in the request. Okay, yeah, so this is what will be returning back if there is no input provided for this API, which is a must for us to generate the Mermaid code. Okay, so now let's cover the core logic in try catch block. Okay, so let's get the answer, so in one variable, and call the generate function which we have just created. Okay, and here by will pass in the input and the selected template. Fine. And here we will get the text. Here just will do some cleaning, that is replacing kind of new lines with the space and that stuff. Okay, so here let me take answer dot text and let's do here like replace all. So whatever I have this we passed this in the our examples, right? So we will just replace with the empty space and also do the same for double quote. So here replace all, and this also I will replace with a single quotes, and even if there is an end section, so here this also I will replace with ends, and okay, fine. And finally replace if there is a mermaid with empty space. Okay, so just cleaning according to whatever we need. Okay, fine. So that text is what is needed for us, so we're going to return from this endpoint. Okay, so status, and this is 200, and we're going to return the JSON text whatever we have got into the text variable. Okay, fine. So that is the output expected from this ask endpoint. Okay, if there is any error, we will handle in this catch block. So let's make this as of type any, and here just throw this error. Okay, fine. And yeah, and here let's return with the whatever the error message we have. Not, we'll just return the object itself, so like this. Okay, so let's not remove this. Fine. So this is the simple endpoint to get the Mermaid code depending on the template and the input provided by the user. Yeah, so this is pretty much needed for whatever to handle kind of backend code, to handle the logic to get things required for us to render on the UI. So in the next video we will handle the complete UI part and finish off this project. Okay, so thank you so much.